Hi, in this video I'd like to show you the ancient geoart of Zmeny Island, Ukraine. It's also known as Snake Island or Serpent Island. It's been in the news a lot lately because of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And like all places in the world, this small island has been modified and carved by prehistoric people to create art. So I took this satellite photo from Google Earth from 2016. It's the only one available. And then adjusted the color and the brightness in paint.net. Then I could create layers and draw around all the various shades and features on this island. As I show you this artwork, remember that this island is involved in a war right now. In fact, recently in the news, there was a video showing Ukrainian bomber jets bombing the island pretty much in this direction. You could see the last bombs were falling on this little peninsula where the dock is. So this war is going to do damage to ancient features that people don't even know are there yet. When you start drawing in all the faint roads and trails, outline the different colors and textures, different features you see, you can start to discern different figures and faces painted onto this island and see that the island as a whole looks like someone screaming if you consider the dark area in the lower left part of the island an open mouth. I'm going to zoom in on the very southern tip of the island. You can see the dark areas and the reddish areas, the pink and lighter pink areas, and the wider color of the rocks. It's all there for a reason. And when you outline all the different textures and colors, you see what that reason is. That they were forming art out of the whole surface of the planet. In this case, you can see even the coast of the island on facing both left and right are fairly distinct faces. As you zoom in, you see more and more faces at a smaller scale. And what really shows that these are all man-made features is that when you outline the figures one way and you flip it over, it always matches up with figures facing the other way. This is common of a lot of prehistoric art from all around the world, and diving is a common theme. At this point, if you can't see the pictures or you're skeptical, you don't believe people could do this, all I ask is that you watch the entire video and that you go and watch some of my other videos and visit my Pinterest boards before you make judgment. Remember, I've been studying these features for thousands of hours, and I've been out to the ones around my house and seen that these are prehistoric pieces of art. So I've never been to this island, and I can't go there and verify what I'm seeing, but I can tell you what I think has happened to this island based on my knowledge of these prehistoric people and how they created this art. So the red and pink colors on this island makes me think that there's iron in the rocks and the soil there. And that the really black area in the lower left corner of the island is the patinated rock that would have been there originally. Because when an iron rock is out exposed to the elements for millions of years, it turns very black and it gets real shiny and patinated. So I believe people gathered up all the dark patinated rock and they consolidated to make this figure here. At the same time, they were churning up all the soil and rocks and engineering the island into agricultural features. All this work was probably done thousands of years ago, and that's why I adjust the colors to bring out the intensity of what was probably there and has faded. Next to this dark material is the coastline and all the rock that sloped down to the water. It's all been carved into various figures and faces. At this scale, you can see that it's a figure wearing a dark robe The reason I believe this was done is because it's monuments to people, that there were tombs inside these rocks. People are buried in here. And I see this exact same thing around my house in southern New Mexico. The mountains have all been carved into various figures and heads, and that there are tombs inside them that nobody has seen or knows about. Reverse the picture and it's the same thing. All the different shadows and shadings and textures match up to form art. Even the coastline forms a face facing inland. So underwater rocks and features are part of the art. I'm going to have to go through some of this pretty quickly, so I just encourage you to pause once in a while, note the carving of the rocks on the coastlines, and note the subtle figures and the shading in the landscape. I guarantee if you have any sort of artistic bone in your body, if you look at these things for a while, you'll start to see it. Try to look at it in different ways and see what you can pick out. There appears to be a figure of Merlin sitting on the coastline when looked at it from this one angle. I've seen this figure before in southern New Mexico. I believe that it's the guild icon for scientists. In my work, I've discovered that Santa Claus is the guild icon for dentists, and that Dracula is the guild icon for zookeepers. So all these figures from our past, these icons, actually come from these old ancient people. The rocks along the north coast of the island are pretty cool, create this really interesting scene. And then next to that is an old dock that I believe is the ancient port or dock. There's a harbor on the other side. Flip it around, it's another piece of art. This peninsula on the east forms a head thrusting out into the sea from both directions. And here you can see that there's a harbor on the south side and a dock on the north side. I'm going to come all the way back around and look at the south tip of the island again, zoom in, and show you in detail. And you'll see that it's unmistakable. It's like Ukraine has its own Easter Island type heads, and yet nobody knows that these are everywhere around the world. Everyone assumes that all our mountains and our coastlines are all some sort of natural features, that wave action carves out eyes and nose and ears and mouths in every rock. Of course, when you're on the ground, it can be hard to see that this is what it forms from above, because it's not going to quite look like that when you're standing right on it or near it. So there you have it, Snake Island, a floating head in the Black Sea. When new satellite photos come out after the war, I'll be able to do somewhat of an assessment of damage to some of these glyphs. But I hope maybe archaeologists will start to look at these things and realize that there's more here than what we've seen before or thought was here.